Hold on. How many can I?
Okay, we are back again for another Havamal roundtable. And Halloween over here, a little chaos squirrel has pretzels. We do apologize for her crunchy pretzel eating. We do have her mic'd away from her face, so it'll be a little bit better.
Crunching ASMR.
Yeah, Lord. Oh, that just sounds horrible to me. I'll be honest. I don't like food sounding people. Yeah. Okay. Like I can handle a potato chip crunch, but the way you said that, yeah, it's okay. That's nightmare fuel for me. Thank you. Anyway, of course, Jade's here with us again. Fair note is Jade has a full house, slightly busy tonight. She is a full-time occult mommy. So she was not able to isolate and hide as usual. So if we pick up any background or noise, we apologize. We may have to mute her, turn off camera, but she will pop back in when she can. But that's just part and parcel of the, well, living a magical life, really, which is something actually I think on Roundtable we should probably talk about sometime, Jade, because that is an aspect to the occult and practice that I don't think enough people touch on. And you and I have a unique view because, well, I have to put up with this thing. All right, so we will get started. Now, again, we are using the Poetic Edis, translated by Dr. Jackson Crawford for our reading of the Havamal. So, yep, there we go. It's hands down my favorite translation. So, by all means, go over to Amazon.com or wherever you buy your books and purchase a copy and support Dr. Jackson Crawford and his work. He also has a YouTube channel. Doesn't have anything to do with magic. It's purely history. So, but it's still a fascinating channel if you want to follow it. All right. We will get going. Squirrel, you're at the top left, so you get to start tonight.
All right. We are on verse 81.
Yep.
Don't praise the day until it's night. Don't praise your wife until she's buried. Don't praise the sword till after the fight, nor your daughter till she's married. Don't praise the ice until it's crossed, nor the ale until you're sloshed.
I love this one.
I think it's basically the equivalent of don't knock on wood, like don't jinx yourself by praising it too early.
Yeah. In fact, that's pretty much it.
Your wife can cheat on you till she dies.
Yeah.
Night can go wrong until it's night, like, or day can go wrong until it's night.
I got my first 6 cars playing poker, gambling, and gamblers always had a saying, don't count your chips until you've walked away from the table. Because until it is finished, until it is over, anything can change, and you have to be aware of it. I know a lot of people who's like, don't praise your wife until she's buried. That's horrible. It's a reminder that anything can change. There's always an unknown variable potentially. Okay. And of course, I and the whole daughter till she's married, because until she's married and down to your hair, you're
still stuck with her eating pretzels on your street. You're still stuck with
her. We like to say get her married so she ain't your problem, but
hey, I had a date tonight. It could have went worse.
Be your problem.
But I had a date.
There's nothing that sounds more dwarvish to me than nor the L till you're sloshed. To me, that sounds like something a dwarf would say. I like that. All right. But that one's straight up it. Until it is actually officially finished and done, don't count it.
Anything from you, Jade?
No, I think I totally agree with your thinking on that whole concept.
Yeah, we just kind of jumped over Jade on that one.
That's all right.
All right, the 82 will be for me, which is chop wood when the wind blows, row your boat on the sea, court a lover at nighttime. For the day has many eyes, value a ship for its speed, a shield for its protection, a sword for its sharpness, a woman for her kiss.
So I don't know, because I'm getting like two different things out of this, but the latter part of this stanza just makes me think of you need to appreciate the things that you have, appreciate the qualities of the things that you have and whatnot, like the shield for its protection, the sword for its sharpness, the woman for her kiss. You're appreciating those things for their gift or abilities.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm
the
trying to figure
first
out where
part,
else you're gonna row a boat. Like on a river, maybe, but like I'm not gonna be
and
rowing my boat on land, and I don't understand why I have to chop wood when it's windy. I feel like that'd be a bad time to chop wood. Because then you're fighting the wind while chopping wood.
Well, okay, so the wood one, there's two thought processes here. First off, summer and spring and fall, when the wind is blowing, is we consider that weather windy. It's not raining or anything, it's windy.
Mm-hmm.
However, in the winter, if the wind is blowing, it's probably snow and ice.
mhm,
And at that point, you better already have your wood stores. So there's the thought process that it's talking about preparing by season. And there's also the thought process that if you're chopping wood or a tree, the wind can actually help bring the tree down. So it's on a
okay,
larger scale than just like splitting the wood for the fire. It's actually bringing the tree itself down. You utilize the wind, makes it far easier. But you got to remember, they didn't have chainsaws. And rowing the boat on sea, that is, again, you're looking at that practicality.
mhm,
I actually have heard people mention that, you're wasting your time to row the boat on the land, which I get that.
mhm. And
Um,
then the courting the lover, I mean, I mean, back then, I don't know if it was like common practice back then, but a lot of times you try to keep like public displays of affection to a minimal during the daytime because you don't want people prying and looking at you and such. So that's why I guess they say court a lover at nighttime.
that
Oh,
is
I
one
definitely
thought
took that
process.
as being a hookup, and it's like, don't hook up in the day when people can see or hear you.
No. I mean,
The
it could be, you
time
could take it that
difference
way.
definitely makes a change here.
Definitely an era difference because
This
it's
isn't
not
a
to say
Tinder date we're talking about here.
no. Um, a lot of people forget the value that was placed on relationships in these time periods because there is a lot of promiscuous things that happen, but they don't, relationships actually had far more value than people realize. But Jade, it could actually mean that you are correct about the nighttime and, public display of affection, but a lot of people also think that it's everything has its time, which follows with the
Mhm.
stanza here because you work during the day and if you waste your time courting somebody that may or may not return your affection, you lose your day if you do it during the day.
True.
So those are two line of thoughts that I've heard on that particular stanza, which
Mhm.
makes sense. I mean, I know in my life I've dealt with people that I honestly realize I wasted time on, period.
Mhm.
So, but then we get down to, everything that time and it does start talking about value. Actually, pay attention and understand the value that something has, truthfully, and
Mhm.
why it has that value. Not just that it has value, but why it has it. And I mean, a kiss, this is again, we got to remember this is poetic.
Mhm.
So this isn't just talking about the flesh, this is talking about being there. It's about that connection, that comfort, that intimacy that you can share with that partner. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. Jade 83. Oh, this one sounds fun.
All right. Drink ale by the fire, skate on the ice, by a thin horse, and a rusty sword. Give your horse food and let your dog feed itself.
Yep.
I mean,
Well, you
drink
can
your
make the
ale by.
horse not fat by feeding it. There
Mhm.
was no dog earlier in the stanza, now we have a dog. Where did we get the dog? Also,
And
why
why
aren't
are
we feeding the
you
dog?
buying a rust? And why are you buying a rusty sword?
Because, like,
Or
the thin horse you fix up by giving it food, so do we want to fix the rusty sword? Like, you can fix rusty swords, like how you can fix rusty, like, cast iron to an extent. But then, why are we skating on ice? What does
This
that
one's
have to do with
actually,
any of this?
yeah, this one actually gets debated a lot, and I've actually kind of enjoyed this one because drink ale by the fire. Um, depending on how you look at this line, it makes sense. Because drink ale by the fire, if you think tavern or at home at the hearth, that makes good sense. That's good advice, right?
Mhm.
Drinking ale by the fire, if you're on the road camping, bad advice. Because you're now
Mhm.
out in the wilds, potential bandits and everything, and you're inebriated.
Mhm.
Skate on the ice. Um, oftentimes skating on the ice was not viewed as actually a recreational thing and could be bad ideal depending on the ice.
Mhm.
Again, you're seeing that thing that could have a pro and con to it.
Stop fighting.
And people debate which way both of these lines are meant. Now, buy a thin horse. Thin horses are generally more athletic horses that are more active. They're going to have a bit more strength than a fat horse, and they're going to be faster horses. So it's kind of the overweight horse that's seen too many years already, and the horse that you would actually want to use as an actual riding horse
Mhm.
is the way a lot of people translate it. I'll be honest, that would always through me, though after hearing that, it makes sense. A rusty sword, again, we're looking at that. Why are we buying a rusty sword? I don't know. A lot of people are leaning to the bad advice concept. So instead of like a thin horse that's athletic, they look back at the horse and like, it's a sickly horse because the sword's rusted.
Yeah. I mean, because when I saw the buy a thin horse versus, I visualized a horse where the whole like rib cage area was like so thin, like you could see the indentation of the ribs through the skin.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
I
like what
thought
I'm
when I
thinking.
saw.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Like
mean,
a skeleton, basically.
I have often read this in a lot of ways as bad advice.
Hmm.
Because weirdly enough, horses, by and large, they can graze and they do so without it affecting how they view us.
Hmm.
Because you can like eat an apple and give the core to a horse and it's happy.
They
Dogs,
also accept
however,
sugar. You can give them a sugar cube. They like
that
it.
wasn't really something they had back then.
Okay. What about
So
peppermints? Sometimes I give
probably
horses
not.
peppermint, but they're good. You give half the peppermint, and then you give the horse half the
Whereas
peppermint, and then they love
dogs
you.
and canines, if you don't feed them, they tend to not really, they will start not caring what happens to you.
Hmm.
So you can see how this could be looking into that bad advice concept.
Hmm.
And it is an interesting one to ponder with a lot of different people. And I'm sure there's hundreds of people who have different outlooks on this stanza. It is a trickier one. But yeah, I could see how some people could pull good advice out. But to me, I always got the kind of try to avoid doing this. All right, Halloween, you will have stanza 40 or 84. I'm dyslexic, apologies.
Yep. And it goes on to the next page. So, no man should trust the words of a girl, nor anything a woman says. Women's hearts are molded on a wobbly wheel. Deception lurks in their words.
What?
What in the fuck? Odin, what did I ever do to you?
I've
Like,
been waiting to get to
like,
this section.
what Tinder date, like, screwed him up so bad that he was like, you can never trust a woman again. Like,
Just because I know this topic's going to be fun, just remember we are PG here.
I'm not sorry.
So
I said what
no,
I
and
said.
I mean, honestly, your reaction's valid. It is absolutely valid. Not saying anything there. In fact, I'm really interested to hear your all's thoughts before I explain this one, because I'll confess, when I first read this in the Havamal, I had a major malfunction myself. You all know how much I think about my wife and Seffi, and well, how many friends that are
And
women that
dumbass.
I trust absolutely. So you can see why this one might have rubbed me the wrong way. But yeah, give me your thoughts on this.
Maybe flirtations, like don't trust flirtation. Back on his
Well,
bad Tinder date. I want to know what
I
Odin thinks
mean,
about Tinder now.
this is a hard one because there's some cultures that believe that women are untrustworthy, and so because of that, they need to have, like, I guess, a man as like the solidifier of whatever they say, in a sense.
Mhm.
And also, there's also some people who have the mindset that women are often driven by their emotions and their hormones. And so, therefore, their actions can't always be trusted because they aren't always acting on their logic and acting on emotion.
Okay. Okay.
But with
I don't
what
know.
we know of the
That's
Norse, like
You're
in
right. That
ye
does
olden
not fit
days,
the
like it
Norse.
doesn't
That doesn't
fit
fit the
them.
Norse mind. But I see where she's
yeah.
coming
I
from.
see where you're coming from, but like at the same time, like the women had power. The women could work. They could divorce
Yeah.
their husbands. They could cut off his you know where. Like they had some modicum of power. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, they did think math was witchcraft, and I'm not convinced they're wrong about that, but like I don't understand how this fits to the culture.
Okay. So do you have a thought process on it, or do you want me to go ahead and break it down?
Break it down now.
Wiki, wiki, boom, boom,
Okay.
booch.
So first off, no man should trust the words of a girl, nor anything a woman says. Women's hearts are molded on wobbly wills. Deception lurks in their words. Okay. This is actually this is weirdly praising women and insulting men. First off, the first advice is no man should trust the words of a girl. The reason being, men have a tendency to stop thinking with this when women are around, and we become big idiots. And you could tell us anything, and we probably going to believe it. So it's a reminder to how stupid we become. Nor anything a woman says. Women's hearts are molded on wobbly wills. This is more often than not talking about how women have the ability to pivot and change their minds often. Unpredictability. Now, this isn't actually viewed as a negative, because adaptability and stuff is in Norse culture is actually viewed as a virtue. But if someone can be unpredictable and pivot so quickly, you have to be ready for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, the next one, deception lurks in their words. Again, this is a reminding them of, like Halloween said, they had power. Women had a lot of power, and women were also some of the best individuals to employ psychological warfare. These were the people who subterfuge, they were good at it. They could utilize it, they could leverage it. And you notice they don't refer to them as a wife, they don't refer to them as a daughter, they don't refer to them as a mother, they don't refer to them in an intimate way.
Just
This is the girl at the bar you just met.
Turns out
For
she's
your
a
s-
secret Valkyrie.
For your safety, you need to be aware and mindful, because until you get to know them, you really can't be certain what their intentions are. And
Mhm.
I will point out, before anyone starts yelling at me, I don't remember what stance it is. Don't worry. We come around to guys later. Guys, you don't get a pass. Odin's going to get you.
I want to
Okay.
find it.
All right.
I
I'm
want to
just glad
find
I
the
didn't
men
have
are
to read that.
stupid and I don't respect them passage. Where is it?
Well, weirdly, like I said, this ain't about not respecting. This is about looking at.
Oh, you probably haven't seen that meme.
Um.
It's not from the Havamal.
So
It's
who's
like
next?
a
It's
TikTok
me.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah, it's me. Okay. All right. Stanza 85. A breaking bow, a burning fire, a howling wolf, a cawing crow, a grunting pig, a rootless tree, a swelling wave, a boiling kettle. Okay, this is going to go into 86. A flying spear, a crashing wave, a striped snake, the words of a bride in bed, a broken sword, a playful bear, the child of a king. Okay, it's still going. 87. A sick calf, a stubborn servant, a prophet who foresees good things, a corpse on the battlefield, your brother's killer. Now we're in 89. Even if you meet him in public, and half burned house, a horse that's too fast. Remember, a horse is usable.
Unusable.
Unusable. Yeah. Remember, a horse is unusable if only one foot breaks. May you never be so trusting that you trust all these things.
That is 4 entire stanzas, my dude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you see, we just followed the concept of words with being so trusting.
Mhm.
Odin
These
is
are a
literally
few of my
telling
least
us,
favorite things.
this is talking about the wisdom of caution. And Squirrel, I'm sorry, I'm going to call you out for once. You always accuse me of calling you out, but I'm calling you out this time. Don't trust someone just cause. Don't just automatically assume the best. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't just think the best of everybody. Because as Odin is saying, you don't want to trust in any of these things for many reasons. And well, let's be honest, anyone who's in bed, let's be honest, what they're saying at that moment is in the moment. It's not in truth. So
Mhm.
that's about the best we can say without crossing our PG line.
Yeah.
A grunting pig. Like the howling wolf might be hunting you. Burning fire might be bandits. Breaking bow, your bow breaks, you're kind of SOL. What's a pig gonna do? Unless it's like a wild
Gorge you.
pig.
They will
Mm.
gore you.
Mhm.
Pigs
They've
will
cussed.
attack. Yeah, pigs can attack. A wild pig is one of the more dangerous animals you can run across. They really are.
I forget they're wild sometimes. I only ever see them on farms. Swelling wave, tsunami, rootless tree, could fall. What's the kettle got to do with anything? Is it gonna... Could you imagine?
Burn yourself.
Could you imagine a kettle gets so hot it just... Pop! No more kettle.
I don't have to imagine it. I've been camping enough to know it. And think about how much time they spent outdoors, or well, even on the hearth. You put a kettle there to boil your water for whatever reason. Do you know how many people get bad burns even today in modern times because something starts boiling, they just reach over and grab it? I mean, you know what? Comment below if you own any form of skillet or pan that you grabbed when it was hot.
I've done it.
Yeah, I done it.
I've
I know
unthinkingly
Halloween's done
reached... Yeah, I've unthinkingly reached into the oven to grab out a pan of cookies without putting an oven mitt on. So, I've done it.
Mhm.
And I realized once I touched it, I was like, ah!
See, Odin warned you. Don't
Mhm.
trust that cattle.
It wasn't a kettle, it was cookies. But you know.
The point stands. All right. So yeah, it's talking about that. Don't be overly trusting. Be mindful, be aware, because let's be honest, if we're mindful, if we're being aware and we're in that moment, we're not going to grab that cast iron pan without something to cover our hands.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's talking about here. And everybody's like, well, it's hard to be mindful all the time. Why do you think he gave us such a big list? He was trying to get our attention, which he did, because we're going down through it, and another one, and another one, and another one.
Mm-hmm.
So that combination of stanzas goes a long way to try and get our attention to the don't be overly trusting.
Where's Child of the King come in?
A
A
child, even
child
though
is a
that they're
child. Just because they are the child of the king does not make them as noble as their father.
Mhm.
Sucks, but it's true.
Mhm.
All right. So that brings us to stanza 88. Jade,
My turn. All right.
if we run into another one that just has to keep plummeting, just do what I did, because it's about the best way we can handle it.
Okay. All right. Do not put too much trust in your newly planted crops, nor in your child too early. Weather will shape the field, and whim will shape the child, and neither will stay the same.
Weirdly enough, I think we answered this with the king question.
Mm-hmm. I mean, do not put too much trust in your newly planted crops. I mean, heck, I'm a gardener myself. You don't want to assume that just because you planted seeds that they're all going to grow and thrive by just putting it in the ground. You have to take account for weather conditions, making sure that they have the nutrients, water, proper sunlight, and all that stuff. You can't just trust that it'll grow. Same thing with the child, I mean, I have 2 kids myself. If I were to just let them run rampant, oh my God, they would be little monsters.
Right. You have to
So,
cultivate it. You have to tend it. You have to
mhm.
pay attention. So, and I actually think it's interesting that you took that angle with it, because I think there's a reason they're comparing the garden to the kid.
Mhm.
Thoughts, Halloween?
Honestly, I was kind of thinking a little bit further back on the don't jinx yourself or like bet on something too early kind of thing, because you don't know the outcome.
That is
Yeah,
true. That's not a bad one. Yeah,
that's a good way of
because
tying those together.
All right, Halloween. That means you get stanza 90 or 33 or what?
Page 33.
Okay.
Um, Take care not to love a deceitful woman. It's like driving an unshod horse. A playful young, poorly tamed foal across slippery ice. Or like sailing a ship in a wild wind, or trying to catch a reindeer on foot after the mountains thaw.
Mm-hmm.
What does unshod mean?
No horseshoes.
So a horse with no shoes.
Yeah.
That's
Which
young, not tamed, and a foal.
which makes them very dangerous to ride. They're very susceptible to injuries and whatnot.
Mhm. I mean, it's
And
just not very smart choices. Like, you would never want to sail your ship willingly into a massive windy storm because that's just a recipe for disaster.
yeah. And this is written, I mean, it says, take care not to love a deceitful woman. And this is written from Odin's perspective. But this is actually really good relationship advice in general. Make sure you understand who it is that you're talking to, and make sure you know them before you give them your love. Because male, female, it don't matter. A deceitful person will tear you apart.
Hmm.
You're only asking for trouble there. just like all the examples he gave. I mean, riding a horse with unshod, poorly tamed, young, across slippery ice, that's just no part of that sounds like a good ideal.
Mm-mm.
And trying to catch a reindeer on foot, good luck, especially in the mountain thaw. That is when the mountains are,
Probably their
they
most
have all that
treacherous.
runoff. Yeah, they're muddy, they have a lot of runoff, fast moving water,
Possible landslides.
possible
Mhm.
landslides. You can see it's Odin is flat out telling you, if you're going to love someone, make sure it's someone that you can trust truly and that is worthy of that. Otherwise, they're not worth your love, period.
Mhm.
So pretty hard hitting on that one.
Hey, did drink get suddenly blurry for you?
Actually,
just
yeah,
be my
just ever
camera.
so slightly.
Yeah.
No,
There
now
you
you're
are.
clear.
Now you're clear.
You're back.
Okay. I don't know what happened. Weird.
It's like lost focus.
Yeah. They got me a new camera setup and a new audio setup because, well, we needed better audio anyway.
I also have a new audio setup. Look at this boy.
Yeah. Mine's all Sith. See? It glows.
Wee-oo.
Okay, who had that last one? Was that Halloween?
Yeah, I did that last one.
Okay, that means this next one would be me. So 88. Do not put too much trust in your newly planted crops, nor
What the?
Wait,
What?
we read
I
that.
just read 90.
I went back. Yeah, 91.
You're a
Okay.
You're reading
91,
that- yeah,
sir.
91.
Sir.
Keep me in line, girls. Keep me in line.
We're trying.
It's a full-time job. It really is. All right, 91. I'll speak plainly now, since I know both men and women. Men lie to women. Yeah, okay. I'll speak plainly now, since I know both men and women. Men lie to women. We speak most elegantly when we tell the biggest lies and seduce even wise women with lies. Does that need explaining?
No.
Back to the meme. Men are stupid and I don't respect them. Except for there's like a
So-
hip hop beat behind it, so like I can't do that and say the words, but
We
you know what I mean.
discussed the deceitfulness of women. And right
Mhm.
here, Odin's like, I'm going to speak plainly. Men lie too. Men are full of
Mhm.
crap. Men will tell you what they need to get in your britches.
Yep.
Ain't that the truth?
I mean, Odin, he don't hold back. He's like, I'm just going to tell it like it is. And I think that's one reason I love Odin, because I mean, he told the truth about women. And guys, I told you, we don't get a pass. He came right in, Gungnir straight to us, and nailed us to the wall. And he
Mhm.
should. And ladies, please listen here. Guys, I told you to listen before, but ladies, listen here. Just because he says it, don't make it true. Take the time, get to know the guy, watch his actions, watch how he truly lives before you invest. Okay?
Mhm.
And for whoever couldn't read that on my camera, I wrote in quotation marks, the men are stupid and I don't respect them. And then I wrote Odin, probably.
Well, I would say if you're going to
He
just
probably actually respects them, but like
if you're going to go with the ideal of
it's
this
a
entire
meme.
gender is unrespected, then you probably should just stop dating. Uh, unless you're dating the opposite gender, then that would work. But I wouldn't
It's
throw
the
respect
meme.
for everybody out.
The meme. It was a trending song
So-
on TikTok for a while. And then it was a meme.
Mhm.
I avoid TikTok most of the time. We know this though.
Yeah, that's why you have hundreds of unread messages from me. They're just stupid memes I find.
Alrighty. Jade,
My
92.
turn. Yeah.
Oh, I think we're still
Um,
bashing on this, guys.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
A man should speak eloquently and offer gifts to a woman whose love he wants. Praise the body of a beautiful woman. You will win her if you praise her.
Are these the lies they're trying to seduce with?
No,
No,
actually,
this.
I take this back. He's actually telling a man to treat her well, to
Mm-hmm.
praise her, to lift her up, to support.
Mm-hmm.
Um, grant you, we're doing it in a poetic style, so it does make it sound a little shallow because poetry.
Yeah.
Um, but
But
we're reinforcing her confidence in herself.
mm-hmm.
We're reinforcing when we talk about body, especially from a Norse perspective, we're also reinforcing her work. We're reinforcing her actions, what she actually does. Those are all
Mm-hmm.
physical things that are tied to the body.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when we're using the term beautiful woman, this can be used in different ways, especially poetically, because we could be talking about the physical beauty of the woman. And we can be talking about the beauty of the woman as a whole, her personality, her honor, her integrity, her work ethics, who she is as an entire person, which
Mm-hmm.
goes far deeper than just, is she pretty?
Mm-hmm.
And though I have pros and cons with poetry, because like I said, and on the surface, poetry can come off shallow. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, poetry can go much, much deeper.
All right. My
So,
note for this section is drink your respect woman juice.
huh?
Drink your respect woman juice. It's just turning into meme pages, okay? This is why my English teachers hated me in school. I took the
I
book
think
so
you killed
seriously.
Jade. I'm not even sure what she said, but you killed Jade here.
I
Jade,
take literature so
breathe.
seriously.
Breathe.
This is why I majored in science and not English. This and I write like you do, where it's like 8 sentences together, only separated by commas. No punctuation anywhere else. Half the
Oh
words
man.
Just 8?
misspelled.
That's rookie numbers. You got to pump that number up. I did a 12-page letter to Katrina once, no punctuation. Man, she was mad.
Yes. Yes. Viva la chaos.
So, yeah, I mean, this is about respect and building up the person. I'm going to guess
Jade
that's
writes
something about what she
contracts.
said.
The two of us. Screw English language.
So, there we go. Jade, can you breathe? Because I believe, no, wait. No,
I just read.
Halloween's up next.
Yep. No,
Haha.
I get a stanza or two to breathe, so I'm good.
Okay. Squirrel, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. This is an important one, too. So, here we go.
Okay.
93.
No man should mock another for falling in love. Love sickness often strikes harder on a wise man than a fool. Doesn't that go directly against the wise men say only fools fall in? But I can't
I'm not sure
help
musicals can
falling in
generally be
love
used as life
with
advice
you. Okay.
because there is a reason for this. Thoughts?
I
Stop
mean,
scratching my desk chair, you little heathen.
you even kind of see it today, when people have a crush or when they fall in love. Some people kind of might make fun of them, poke fun at them, and whatnot. Because when you do fall in love, a lot of people fall hard in love, and it hurts their pride when other people make fun of them when they've you know fallen in love with somebody.
Yeah. And it can happen to any of us.
Mm-hmm.
But thoughts, Halloween, before I cover that? Or was your only thought
No,
the musical?
my only thought was the musical, and
Okay.
that the cat was scratching my desk chair. Dang,
Okay, so first off, no man should mock another for falling in love. That is absolutely true. And love sickness is actually generally how it was viewed because love can be, it can hit you. It's infectious. You can't really do much about it. It's just boom, there it is. Then the part that confused Halloween was it strikes the wise man more than the fool. I can explain this easily with modern day. How many guys have you seen in hookup culture that get tore up when they just, what's the term, hit it and leave it?
they could give
Depends on the guy.
two craps about
By
it. I
and
mean,
yeah, by and large, and
No shit.
honestly, it's not just guys that anymore.
Yeah, I
It's
know
at the
some
point
girls who
where
hit it and quit
it's
it
just a
too.
revolving relationship door. It's like, well, that relationship's over. Moving on, moving on, moving on. It doesn't affect them. But, and those people, even in today's modern culture, are usually viewed as fools because they're just constantly out there clubbing, doing whatever else, I think clubbing's still a thing.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so whereas the wise man who's more reserved is more
I'm covered in cat
observant
hair.
about what's happening. He takes fewer chances, and because of that, when he falls deep, which means if it falls apart on him, the pain is more. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cat hair,
There
but
is a
no.
pro and con to this because if you're that more reserved and you're waiting for that person to truly invest in, when you truly invest, it hurts more. Because there's no guarantee, as we found out in earlier stanzas, that even if you find a good person, that crap's going to work out. Because you may, they may be the best thing in the world, absolutely, everything's great, and then find out, well, I don't like boats. Well, that's a killer. I can't marry someone who won't go fishing with me. Grant you that's a silly concept, but you see what I'm saying? There's things that will pop up that you don't know about that don't make them a bad person. That just makes you and them uncompatible.
Yep.
All right.
Does this make me a wise man or a fool? I feel like I'm average. Because I'm not hit it or quit it, but I'm not waiting forever.
Now's not the time to have that conversation. All right. So who's next? Is this me? No, I think it's Jade. No, me.
Nope, it was you.
It's you.
Okay,
I
it's
just
me.
read the last one.
94. No man should mock another for falling in love. Love is strong enough to make a fool out of a man who once was wise. That's self-explanatory. Men and women alike, ladies, gentlemen, I've seen it from both sides of the fence. You all fall in love, we all become idiots.
There's literally a song of that. Loveful. Love me,
So,
say that you love me.
I can't count the number of guys who they've done the dumbest freaking things to impress a girl. And ladies, I've seen you all do some pretty crazy stuff too. Usually yours is more on a intellectually stupid, if that makes sense, because you guys are trying to dress a certain way, act a certain way, try almost like become what you think he's looking for, which that's silly. Don't do it ever. Don't change for someone else. Guys are like, I can totally chug a 12-pack of beer, jump off the barn across a flaming pit of sharks and not land on the spikes and do a cartwheel. Watch this.
Flaming pit of sharks. Are the sharks flaming? Is the water flaming, or is it the tank that's
both?
flaming?
We're that stupid.
All right, guys, discussion time. What's the dumbest thing you've done for
honestly,
love?
oh dear God, that would be a round table of
I
its
would
own.
do anything for
I don't know a
love,
single
except
guy
for
who is,
Drake.
I don't know a single guy who is actually genuinely ever not had this moment. I mean, there's a reason women live longer because perfect example is I've seen people who they don't have a ladder that can get up here to paint this area. So their solution is a 2x4 across the stairwell, put the ladder on the stairwell, climb up there, and put another platform on the ladder so that they can paint it. There's nothing remotely stable about this. If they sneeze or fart, they're going to fall and kill themselves. But technically, they can now reach it. This is the logic. It's not about safety, it's about results. Sorry, guys,
right.
we're this bad.
Jade,
all
what's
right.
the stupidest thing you've done for love? I gotta know.
You really want to know?
Yes. It's
make my
stupid time with
husband play
Halloween.
house with me through all of elementary school until he fell in love with me.
Aww. Okay, that one's actually kind of sweet though.
I don't know. I really don't have a whole lot of dating experience.
Yeah, I
You
mean, you
cut out
found
a little
yours
there,
in
Jade.
kindergarten.
Oh,
How
yeah.
hecking
No,
dare
I
you?
don't have much crazy like dating stories because I married my school sweetheart. So
Yeah.
See.
Drake met his at 16-ish. That's when you started dating.
Yeah, lost a bet.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
and then you married her.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Best bet I ever lost.
Met my husband in kindergarten. I was like, I'm marrying you one day.
There
And
you go.
that sealed the deal.
And he was like, "Well, I can't get out of this. We're 5. Clearly, this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life."
Yeah, I mean, some things through history has not changed, and the stupidity of a person in love has not. And that's why we have to be extra mindful, because no matter whether we're foolish or wise, it can get us. Okay, Jade.
Yes. Number 95, I believe.
Yes.
Only you know what dwells in your heart when you are alone, but nothing is worse for a wise person than to have nothing to love. That's so sad.
That one,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that one's straightforward, because loneliness is kind of the worst thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's loud. Could you mute?
That's
Sorry.
really loud.
Sorry.
I
Okay,
mean,
we're going to have to
it's
take chips
pretty.
and stuff away from you during recordings.
It's straightforward because I mean, you know what are your deepest feelings, and so you only like what it says. You only know what dwells in your heart. You only know that. Nobody else knows that.
Correct.
And like when you're alone, you have nobody to love, nobody to share those feelings with, to have those good moments with, and it's hard.
It
And
is.
it can really tear somebody apart to not have anything to share that love with.
Mhm. It is, it's one of those things where if life loses its luster and its joy, you're left with nothing. No amount of money, property, none of that's going to matter if life loses its luster.
And this doesn't have to always necessarily pertain to a relationship. I mean, because it says
No,
nothing
this,
to love. This could be
right.
loving a child, loving a pet, loving something
Loving your
else.
work, loving nature.
Art.
There's so many things. It's that love of life that really comes in there.
Mhm.
Okay, so 96 squirrel. You're muted still.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right.
We're sorry for the technical difficulties that is squirrel.
All right. This is why I'm single. I experienced this when I waited among the reeds, and my lover did not come to me. That wise girl was my flesh and my heart, though I could not call her my own. What?
Basically, Odin knows what it's like to be brokenhearted, to be left, to be alone, to be
Odin was
crushed.
stood up.
He got stood up on his date.
So we are seeing a very human side. That's one thing I love about the Norse. You see a very human side to these myths, where Odin, it's like he knows heartbreak. So, and yeah, I mean that's pretty
And
much straightforward.
I like that he plugged in there that wise girl because she was wise enough to know that maybe Odin wasn't a compatible match with her.
Yeah,
And so
maybe he had been doing some of that deceiting up in there that he was talking about earlier. So, I mean, or like you said, maybe not compatible. Either way, he knew she'd done the right thing, whether it be by her or not. Even though he was brokenhearted, he can still say she did the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there is a hard lesson for anyone on the planet. If it doesn't go the way you
Mm-hmm.
want, it's hard to admit the other person did correct.
Yep.
All right. So 97 would be me.
Correct.
I found Billing's daughter, fair as a sun's ray, asleep on her bed. The life of a lord seemed as nothing to me unless I could live with that woman. Again, we're seeing him place love, companionship, above everything. Money, wealth, property. Again, he putting it above everything there.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing Odin, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
that
sure it's
one
going
was
to take a
pretty
turn.
cool.
Let's see. Jade, you got 98?
Yep. You should come back in the evening, Odin, she said. If you want to woo me, it's improper for others to know of such a scandal. This kind of leads back to that one stanza where it was says, if you want to court a woman, do so in the evening, or something like that is what we discussed. And also, it just kind of reiterates that she doesn't want necessarily people to be seeing him try to woo her and
Yeah,
then spread rumors and whatnot. She'd rather the courting to be done more so in private until they're ready to go public, I guess.
there you go. That's one way of looking at it, definitely.
Question though, why was he seeing her in her bed? What was he doing in her bedroom? Like, maybe it's a time frame thing, but I'm kind of like, what, my dude? Are you like peeking in her windows? Are you being a peeping Tom? What are you doing? Is that the scandal? Is the scandal you being a peeping Tom?
It's not entirely sure there. He could have snuck in when he wasn't supposed to be there. But it's also not unknown through history. I mean, heck, in the 70s and 80s, tossing pebbles at a girl's window to get her attention just so you could talk to her because you know her dad's not going to let you in the house,
Mm-hmm.
isn't uncommon.
Cue back to the 80s, say anything, guy outside with the boombox.
Pretty much. So there is
Mm-hmm.
that. Which brings us to Squirrel.
There we are. What was that? Sorry.
99.
My mic cut out. Not mic, my headphones. Okay, 99. I turned back and I thought that I would win her. I imagined that I would win the woman's love and all her joy. That's
Sounds like he's dumbstruck with love.
Oh, yeah. He done got hit by the Thunderbolt.
it. Love
Mm-hmm.
me, say that you love
Figures,
me.
I get stanza 100. Here we
Yes.
go. Ready? And
Okay.
don't get us flagged for copyrights because you keep singing these.
They're covers, clearly. They're bad ones, but they're covers.
All right.
I can only imagine
stanza...
what Born's gonna say in admin chat after this.
Lord help us. All right. 100. But when I came back that night, there was a good company of warriors, awake and ready for me, with burning flames and torches held high. I was shown my miserable way out.
Yikes.
Oof. Major oof.
Like, that's so much worse than dad with a shotgun. You got an entire army.
It's like, oh, that didn't go the way I wanted.
Like, there's a difference of doorstep. And here's the entire force of the local brigade saying, get the heck out.
Well, ironically, Jade, you've got 101. It gets worse.
Oh, lovely. And when morning came and I returned, everyone in the hall was sleeping, and then I found a watchdog tied to the bed of that good woman. So she is doing everything she can to protect herself from Odin.
She is done with you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was being creepy as heck, trying to get her attention through her bedroom window, and so I mean, I don't blame her.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird because there's things that are just that's creepy in the story, but then there's things that, depending on who you ask, it's that's sweet, and, oh, that's creepy. It's like
Bro, if
depends on the
someone got
person.
up on my second story window and was like, "Hey, you want to fall in love
Oh,
with me?" I would like knock their ladder down.
There
Like,
you
are you
go.
freaking kidding me?
Pick me,
What the hell?
Yes,
pick me,
I pick you, Jade. I pick you.
Okay,
Jade,
we
I pick
picked the
you. Go.
lady in front of the bridge.
No, I just realized it was like an aha moment. This leads back to where Odin was talking about never trust a deceitful woman. She deceived him. She told him to come back, and
She
he
set him
let down
up.
his guard and listened. He wasn't
She
using his smart.
nope. She set him up.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Excellent. Love that this is how I like that this is how the turntables turn. I think that's how
I
that
think
phrase
we've
goes.
got 2 more that will tie this up nicely.
Ooh, it's me turn.
Yeah, so you got the next one there, Squirrel.
There's many a good woman, if you get to know her, who will change her mind about a man. I learned that when I tried to seduce a wise woman. That lady showed me every kind of shame, and I gained no life for my trouble. Big oof, my dude. Big oof.
Ladies and gents, both listen to this. They may look like a prize. They may seem like they are your dream. And you may come out of it with nothing to show.
Mm-hmm.
And as he put it, she showed him every kind of shame. So he left that without any way to hold his head high on that one. So pay attention to that part up there um, about getting to know them. And even if you get to know them, you notice that it follows with who will change her mind about a man.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware, things change. It hurts,
Yep.
but it changes. All right, 103, which would be me. If you want to be very wise, be happy at home and cheerful with a guest. Cultivate wisdom, a good memory, and elegance, and speak kind words often. You'll be called a fool if you can't say much. That's the mark of the unwise.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
That kind of sums up a lot of the stuff that came before this. Like, you want to travel, but not be away from home so often you can't receive guests. If you're going to have guests, you need to be a good host. You need to talk to people to get wise. You need to travel to get wise. You need to learn things, remember them, and be eloquent so you can talk about them, share them. And be kind, not spread gossip. It really sums up, like, those first 102 lines, basically.
That's why I figured we'd continue to hear before we stopped.
Yeah.
Because it really is. It's kind of tying up that almost the first part of the Havamal, where we've been talking about relationships, hospitality, how we live life, and speak kind words, not gossip, and actually having something worth saying. Which
Jade,
in
Yep.
meme
any
culture
thoughts?
these days is a little rough to do.
Honestly, Halloween, you summed that up beautifully.
She really did.
Thank
She
you.
really did. She gets
Does that
stopped.
make up for my crinkles?
We'll give you the crinkles. I don't know if it makes up for all the musicals and memes, but it at least gets you by the crinkles.
Okay. I mean, I'm not asking apologies for the memes. The memes are just a part of me that you get to live with. I'm apologizing for the crinkles because they were
Okay, well,
apparently very loud.
They were loud. Huh?
It's because my mic's like right here.
Next time, put your pretzels in a bowl, and leave the bag in the kitchen.
The bag just lives on my desk, but okay.
It might be
Or
time to start.
temporarily just mute when you're opening the bag.
Okay.
So that was actually a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I actually knew the verses on women and men was coming, and I was honestly really looking forward to Halloween's reaction, and she did not disappoint. Because I know coming out of the gate when people read the Havamal, they immediately jump to sexist. And they don't take the time to really dive into what's being said and go further to see where he flips the scripts and is like, guys, we're idiots. Guys, we're deceitful.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice if you actually look at those stanzas, you see he puts men and women on level.
Mm-hmm.
And well, even Odin himself says, you know, yeah, I've been tricked by a woman. A lot. There was armies, fires, watchdogs. It was bad. All right. So
royalty-free music time.
here she goes again. I actually kind of like that. I'm almost half tempted to make an intro with that. What is it? Can you send that one to me? Whatever.
Yeah, I can send it to you. It's the Colonel.
Oh, the Colonel. I think I actually have that one in my favorites.
I'm pretty sure I sent it to you before.
Okay, cool. I'll have to look that one up.
It gives like a good like cowboy western vibe.
Oh, I am like the southern redneck wizard up in here, so I might need that.
And there is a Cowboy of Havamal you can go and read. So.
Oh, I've actually I have read it. I think it's in Jackson Crawford's in the back in one of them. But he also has a video on it where he reads it. And I honestly, because the Cowboy Havamal is written in the words of his grandfather. So listening to him read those words, because you know when you know your family members, you kind of put their emphasis on them. I love to sit down and listen to him read that. I have meditated to the Cowboy Havamal many a mornings. For anyone who has not checked out Jackson Crawford's works and you're interested in the Havamal, I would drastically recommend the Cowboy Havamal, because even though it's in the words of the Old West, it brings it very modern at the same time. It is an amazing listen, definitely. So very good pointing that out, Halloween. All right, ladies, any final closing thoughts before we go?
No. This was a very deep read here.
Yep, this was a deep one. It got a little weird, thanks to Squirrel, but that's why we keep her around.
I'm here for entertainment value and entertainment value alone. Thank you very much.
You're here for your brains too.
Which provide the entertainment value. Where the hell do you think those come from?
Insanity.
Which is in the brain. Insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain.
Oh, Lord. The antenna come out. All right, time to wrap up here. All right, everyone, we will see you all later. Hopefully you'll join us for the next Havamal reading. And I think next week we will be covering a new cryptid. I'm not going to give it away, but this time I think it's going to be Jade's favorite, if I recall. We agreed to do your favorite cryptid, correct? So we have all got to pull our notes, and we will be discussing a cryptid next week. I'm really looking forward to this one. And this is one I have actually gone on investigations for, so I'm kind of looking forward to this. All right, everyone, have a wonderful night, and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.